All right, this is a big one for us here. This is the big 8-0. Can't say I'll ever live to see that number, so at least I can do is stream a video game to this many parts. Uh, so our last stream, part 79, let's talk about that for a sec. It was definitely one part frustrating and one part underwhelming, to say the least. We continued our trek across the great American frontier with John Marston, kind of cleaning everything up before we go back to kind of just focusing on our main story and getting back to the ranch and ultimately, I guess, getting Abigail back. We're kind of taking a break from that. We're going to pay respects to the 9 graves of our fallen comrades, as well as we are making an effort to try and track down and casually run into some other friends and familiar faces. And then, as well as some stranger missions and some bounty posters. So we continued that into our last video. I'll run you through a quick recap. We visited 3 graves in the last video. So we saw Lenny Summers, we saw Hosea Matthews, and we also saw Kieran. And Kieran, that was a big one. Lenny and Hosea also really big graves to visit for sure. So that was a step in the right direction. We were able to complete one more wanted poster out of Rhodes, but then everything kind of came to a standstill upon trying to do the encounter with Tilly in Saint Denis. And I mean, if you were witness to that stream and you stuck it out, that last stream with me all the way to the end, kudos for you. You honestly deserve an award for that, because it was tedious trying to find Tilly, to say the least, and we were still unsuccessful in tracking her down. That park in Saint Denis, where she's supposed to be at, is seared into the back of my memory, and I had nightmares last night of me running around said park screaming Tilly's name, Tilly, Tilly, and you know what? That's not a very nice dream to have. So we're going to try and move beyond that today. I looked into that situation a little bit, and it's possible that there could be a bug regarding running into Tilly. It's funny because I encountered not many bugs in this game, and we haven't had to actually point out many bugs over the course of this game. I really haven't made that the point of this stream at all, because to me Red Dead 2 is almost a near perfect game. But every title is going to have its glitches, and there was other points in the game where we would be out in the middle of a forest, let's say, and all of a sudden there would be dialogue showing up from Tilly. And I read multiple other stories of Tilly kind of as a character glitching out. So I don't want to spurn too much time on this stream continuing to try and track down Tilly. The main focus here is going to be finding the last 3 graves, the last wanted poster out here in Saint Denis, and the Albert Mason Stranger mission. We also unfortunately lost a lot of time in the last stream because of the Ties That Bind, which is a stranger mission. Excuse the blender in the background there for a quick minute. It's a stranger mission that I could have sworn that we did with Arthur a while back, helping the 2 escaped prisoners from the chain gang. And we ended up having to find more wanted posters of them in Rhodes, and that burnt a lot of time. I'm not sure if that set of stranger missions is continuing, but that was also kind of a bummer that brought the stream down. So I want to jump right into things here. I want to go really keep things to a brisk pace here. Learning a little bit from that last stream, and we'll try not to get hung up on one particular spot here if we can't locate something in particular. So I think we're going to be starting in Saint Denis. So like I said, we have, aside from Tilly, if we're just forgetting Tilly, we have 3 graves and 1 random encounter left on that side of things, and then the Albert Mason mission and the bounty poster. So if we could accomplish all of that today, I would be happy in returning back to our to doing our missions, and our next main story mission is an uncle mission out at Beecher's Hope, back at our ranch. So I'd be happy returning to that. Marko Dragic, we've talked a little bit about maybe going back to see him if this stream were to go as quick as I would hope. We could maybe take a second to go see Marko Dragic as well, but it's really not top of my priority list right now. Same with the Ties That Bind. There's stranger missions we could do, but I've got a focus. We've got a game plan, and let's do this. We could try one more time off the top here to try and locate Tilly, considering we're already kind of in the area, before we kind of move on surely to the next thing. Honestly, it was haunting. Trying to track this damn Tilly down. She is a hard girl to find, my goodness.
Same old shit, different day.
That's just life, I guess.
Potentially, it was suggested that we should maybe try to complete the bounty mission here in Saint Denis first. And then
Are you well?
Tilly may show up, but I mean, there's no confirmation on there being any truth to that whatsoever. I can't get hung up on one random encounter, you know. I've made it a point to make an effort and go out and find all these graves and whatnot, so, you know, if I can't have my cake and eat it too, you know, at least we can say that that we tried to touch base with our old friends.
Evening, mister.
So once again, supposedly, she should be right in this area, right where I am now. She doesn't appear to be. Supposedly, she's waiting for a tram or something like that. Looks like we have a no bueno situation here.
I heard that with this new century, electricity going to be in all of our houses. And not just
She calls out to us, I believe. I don't know if you have any more suggestions on where I could look to find her. Definitely let me know. So I guess we'll just call on Thief, and we'll make our way to the bounty poster here in Saint Denis. That should be the last bounty poster out east here. Down east, I should say. Honestly, strange. Maybe somebody else has also encountered this glitch and can shed some light on the nature of it. Right now, that's what I'm gonna have to write this encounter off as. Simply a glitch. Tilly was a bit of a weird character. I never got to know Tilly as well as I probably could have. Tilly was a really nice woman. She always treated me with a lot of respect, and we had a lot of... I remember some really in-depth conversations that we had with Tilly, just sitting down, the two of us at camp, and discussing the politics of camp and whatnot. And she was very level-headed. Very responsible young woman. Nighttime now, my favorite time to bounty hunt.
Well, you're not here to turn yourself in, so I conclude you're a bounty hunter. May I direct you to the poster on the wall there?
We got Anthony Foreman. Oh, an $85 reward. That's a pretty hefty reward for on a wanted poster from the desk of the Saint-Denis police station for the detention and delivery of Anthony Foreman. So they want him detained, not killed. It's always the most important factor in these missions, whether or not they're wanted dead or alive or either. He is the former leader of the Foreman brothers gang and is of dark complexion. Foreman was under sentence for robbery, pandering, and blackmail and made his escape. He is known for violent behavior and has been spotted in many of the establishments throughout the Saint-Denis slums, including the tavern. So this gentleman, Mr. Foreman, is in the Saint-Denis region.
Check that saloon in the slum.
Check the saloon in the slum for him, says the
Hey, buddy.
sheriff. This gentleman is more likely to be at the tavern during nighttime anyway. Saint-Denis comes alive at night. I find it very smoggy, very... The city has a Louisiana glow to it during the day, but at nighttime you can feel that cool off and everyone comes out to partay. So we actually are quite familiar with this saloon. We've definitely indulged on more than one occasion, so...
Stop right now! Law demands it!
Law don't scare me!
Typical Saint-Denis. We've seen chases through the city like that before.
You can't cross the law and live. This ain't good.
I think you can help that that runaway guy or the cop. I don't know that I ever have intervened in that random encounter. So this is it. This is I've never really looked at Saint-Denis and kind of defined its neighborhoods, you know, to identify more impoverished ones. But supposedly this neighborhood of Saint-Denis is definitely being referred to as a slum. And just kind of beyond that, you got like what I like to call the suburbs of Saint-Denis. As you leave Saint-Denis going north, it becomes more and more farmland, but it's a very kind of suburbia, early days suburbia. And then I think the mayor's over here, so this portion of Saint-Denis is likely going to be the more upscale neighborhood. Anyways, the other saloon that is in town is definitely the more upscale of the two. This is like a hole in the wall.
Solves the problem.
So let's make sure, I don't want to come in here with rifles and everything else, but we do have our 2 semi-automatic pistols, which is good. We're going to need our lasso here. Lasso? Lasso. This word always confuses the hell out of me.
Hey you, what you looking for?
Actually, it's who I'm looking for, pal.
Hey, could you help me find an Anthony Foreman?
Anthony Foreman?
This guy.
I don't recollect that name. I'd try the other place.
I definitely just heard him run out the back.
Hey, where you going?
You just tripped me? Hey, I'm still gonna get you. Look out, it's common courtesy.
That guy just tried to trip me on the way out of the bar, I'm sure of it. We gotta chase after him and quick here. I always switch to first person, but then sometimes it can be a little disorienting coming back into third person when you exit the building, especially if someone's like this taking off on horseback and he gets a huge head start. Chase is on now, you fool.
You're coming off that horse.
Oh.
I got you now. Damn you. Get off me.
Just another successful catch in my book.
Make yourself lucky I want you alive. Oh, I'm lucky, all right. Real lucky. Damn this all.
Definitely gotta loot him before we take him in. Not gonna pass up that opportunity.
Let go of me. Damn this bounty.
Looting the bounty is my version of a tip for the job. Take Anthony Foreman back to the Saint-Denis jail. Just another criminal down in my books.
She wants to see you.
Really ironic coming from a criminal, but we won't open that can of worms.
I think you knew a friend of mine, Tilly Jackson. Tilly Jackson? I ain't heard that name in a time.
Interesting.
Hey, you're not the... No, he was bigger. Look, if you're with that other friend of hers, I promised to stay away, and I did. Don't bring me in because of Tilly Jackson. Things is long settled between us. But I ain't bringing you in for Tilly Jackson. I'm bringing you in because they're paying me.
Okay, so interesting that he brings up Tilly Jackson. That suggests to me that we will be able to encounter her once we bring him back.
If my brother was still here, you wouldn't have got me. I wouldn't have had to hide out in no slum, avoiding no bounty. When he got killed and we lost them other boys at Radley's house, that's when things went sour. The Foremans ain't... That's a little thing for her.
Yeah, that's for Tilly, and I mean, unless you're talking about Tilly, unless you got more info to share about her, don't open your mouth. Okay, so now we should definitely, I know that I said we should not get hung up on trying to trigger the encounter, but now that he mentioned Tilly Jackson, what I take from that is, and I think I do remember at a time when Arthur helped Tilly, this must be the gentleman that was trying to make a push for Tilly, and Arthur kind of got him to back away. I don't remember the exact incident, so I can't, you know, quote the interaction verbatim here, but that would appear because he just said to John, oh, if you're with your friend, your bigger friend, tell him that, you know, I don't got any plans on messing with Tilly. So obviously he's talking about Arthur. Arthur was bigger than John. Arthur is bigger than John, obviously, size wise. So a lot of quirky and interesting characters that we ran across as Arthur we're kind of rerunning into now as John. And I guess it's just kind of giving you an update on where a lot of these people are years later. A lot of the Stranger missions that we did for the throughout the entirety of the game, you can actually go back again here during the epilogue and visit a lot of these people to see how they're doing. I'm just going to be sticking to the 9 graves and the encounters of those from our gang, though, for the time being. Yeah, Arthur obviously got him to back off of Tilly, and now he's afraid of Arthur. I'm not sure how John knew right off the bat, though, that he knew Tilly. I'm not sure how he knew. Tilly must have mentioned the name Anthony Foreman.
You ain't on this side of town much.
I wouldn't piss on these people if they were burning.
This is really one of the only times that there's been a real mention of socio-economical borders in Saint-Denis. So that's interesting.
Anthony Foreman. He ain't society's problem no more. He's yours.
Well, good to meet you finally, sir. I hope you find our accommodation suitable. Cell's back there.
And now this should trigger Tilly's random encounter. So the comment that I read online about having to do this bounty in Saint-Denis before randomly encountering Tilly for the final time is actually true. It appears true anyways.
Sit down. Get comfortable.
I ain't going anywhere.
Certainly in my playthrough, it's true.
Well, you gonna want a hot bath after taking that trip through the slums.
Actually, I like the slums. But gracious of you.
Well, police department is being modernized. We're going to try and arrest our own criminals, so don't expect any more bounties here for a while.
Okay, and obviously again confirming to us that that is indeed the last bounty here in Saint-Denis. His reason is that they're modernizing their police services to catch their own criminals. Why don't you try that? Again, keeping with the theme of changing times. Clever dialogue. Okay, so once again we will try and talk to Tilly. Tilly, if you ain't there now, girl, I mean there ain't a whole lot of hope for you. I hate being in Saint-Denis for extended periods of time. I've already been here longer than I need to. That was a recurring thing for me throughout the game. I used to dread going to Saint-Denis, especially for long periods of time. Oh, especially in the latter chapters there, like chapter 6, when you have the wanted dead or alive bounty against you, and coming down south here is just hell every time. There's so many officers and everything scattered throughout this city. It's such a big city. It's so easy to get spotted. Oh man, it was just frustrating. I've had a couple encounters with law enforcement in this game in Saint-Denis, and it's tough every time. This is the street that Tilly is on. The other thing too is she may not be here at night. It may be a daytime thing, and we may have to ride out of the city and then come back in for to activate. This is a lot just to randomly encounter one person. We are going through a lot here. So what makes sense? I guess we're looking for Okay. Just having a look at the locations for the last 3 graves here, just to kind of figure out the best way to get them all. Okay, so 2 of the graves, including Arthur's, are actually pretty close to each other. Kind of close to the Wapiti Indian Reservation, and that's pretty close to the area where Arthur passed away. So that would make sense. So I guess let's just go do this Albert Mason mission first. We can clear that off of our list of things to do.
What the hell do you want?
For now, we'll count Tilly as an L. We'll have to just take it as an L and kind of move on with our lives. I do believe that if I return to town, especially during the day, she will probably be there now that we did that bounty, but I want to keep things moving here. We spent a lot of time in the last video just searching, and the first stream that we started our cross-country trek part 78, we did a lot of talking, a lot of discussion about kind of where we're at right now. So I wanted this final part covering the graves and stuff to really just be heavily content based. So this is the next part of the Albert Mason Stranger Missions. Albert Mason is the wildlife photographer that we've run into multiple times. Most of the times we've run into him this point, though, to this point have been out west, closer to Pronghorn Ranch. I think that's around the area where we first discovered Albert Mason. This is the Stranger mission that opened up as early as chapter 2, but we just never really got to it. I'm not sure how many more parts we have remaining. Just cleaning things up as I have them. Just trying to do as much as I can think of. Just because, you know, after this video, just because we're going to be returning to doing more story missions, doesn't mean that we won't have the capacity to still do Stranger missions. If more Stranger missions and stuff pop up, I will be more than happy to check them out. Damn, gonna get my jeans all muddy, but that's all right. John is like a dog. He loves to just be filthy dirty, rolling around in that mud. He's not hard to miss. I mean, the camera will probably give him away. There he is. Blending into the landscape, my dude.
More than a large reptile to consume you.
They creep up on you, you know.
Mr. Marston.
How are you?
Well, sir.
What are you working on?
Do you know anything about alligators?
Only the basics. Avoid them whenever possible.
Well, did you know that in the last 50 years, we've killed 90%?
You say that like it makes you sad.
They're beautiful creatures.
Well, let's see how you speak when one of them's got you in a death roll.
Yes, I will make some creature a very happy lunch one of these days.
Let's try and avoid that from happening today. You stay there, you'll get a great shot, but then you'll get eaten.
What a way to go.
Why don't we take this boat out? I'll protect you. Come on, get the boat. It'll be fine.
Well, if you really think that's necessary.
Well, you carry on shooting from that bank, you're gonna wish them wolves had eaten you.
Really?
Yeah. 10% who survived. They're the nasty ones.
Yeah. certainly didn't think I'd be fighting off an angry pack of gators for this one.
Oh, I saw movement to the north.
Oh,
Put that away! We're conservationists, not killers.
sorry, I'm surprised. I almost shot him there. That was a close one. Just need a little refresher of the controls is all. Almost had to mark that up as another...
10,000 skins out of the swamps of Lemoyne alone.
Gators got some catching up to do then.
Cases, trunks, shoes, boots, belts, Bibles even. They'll make anything out of gator leather that the market desires.
And all a gator's gonna do with your leather is eat it. Maybe chew on it a while.
Quite. It's hardly fair. Right. There, in the canebrake. That's a likely spot for one. There, in the channel. You see its head? Poking up there. Line us up to it. Swing us around.
I got you.
So we're pointing at him.
I got you.
Closer now. Closer. Excellent. Beast in repose. All is calm as the predator lurks. All right, now. The other spots were northwest and northeast of here. You know, in the season, there are more alligator hunters down here than alligators.
Maybe you can take a photograph of them then.
Very droll. There was even a tour company that let excursionists shoot from the deck of a paddle steamer. Chugged up the waterways and turned whole bayous into mud. Thankfully, the legislator put a stop.
Paddle steamer, huh? Why didn't we think of that?
Hopefully I don't beach the boat here. Leave it to me to get the boat stuck.
Thought you were piloting this thing. 17 feet, 19 feet, 21 feet with a 5-foot head.
What?
They found some big bulls in these parts. Surely they did.
There's 20-foot gators here and us two idiots are sitting in a 12-foot skiff?
No, this is in the 70s, 80s. All the really big gators have been hunted out and killed. More the shame, I say. It's terrible.
It ain't ashamed of this Rowan fool, who values his arms being attached to his body.
Yes, there. Oh, no, he's gone. Can you stop the boat just there, off the island?
Sure. If we stop too long, the locals are gonna start getting curious.
Just there, please. So I'm facing the landmass. Now look, there's an alligator back in those palms. Could you run in there and coax him out?
You want me to coax the gator out?
Please, he's quite something. If I could take that fellow's likeness, it might just save him from the taxidermist.
Fine.
I sense some,
Maybe I want this monster stuffed and on display.
Huh, that's the spirit. Out you go then.
I sense some foreshadowing
get him to
here.
Notice you and then turn tail and run.
Albert said at the beginning of the mission that he believes himself he's going to be lunch to one of these creatures one day soon, and I feel like that day is coming sooner than we think. I almost got stuck on that back there in that little channel. I was able to get free though. We're still trying to photograph this thing. He wants me to coax the gator out. So not only do I have to jump in the water, the alligator infested water, now I have to slowly but surely coax a gator out of his hiding place.
Got some juicy, fat humans for you to eat. Come on, you big, dozy lizard. Rouse yourself. Here, gator. Over here, boy.
There it is.
He's away.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit.
I hope you're slow.
Jesus Christ.
No.
No. Run. I'm jumping. I'm going. Hello.
Got him! What a specimen!
Nearly caught him.
Is he coming?
I don't know what I do
Oh,
without you, sir.
God.
I really don't. If we investigate the area to the east, we can call it a day.
Jeez, let's call it a day now. How about that? You're not the one almost getting eaten by an alligator. Being chased by anything is just not a fun feeling. There's certain things in video games that kind of appeal to your sixth sense and
Oh, look. On that little beach. Boars.
really make the situation feel real. And one of those things for me is being chased by something in a video game. It can be extremely frightening. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard was probably one of the games that we've done most recently that definitely involved a lot of chasing, and that was thoroughly a terrifying experience. Also, another one is surfacing from water. I always get a weird tingling sensation in my head when you surface from water, like as if you're actually coming up from water and you feel like the water on your head. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's like this feeling. It feels so real.
If we're in luck, an alligator won't be far away.
Saving alligators, but you don't mind that pork chop gets butchered.
Pork chop isn't in danger of extinction.
Get closer to the gator. Those are multiple gators, no? Oh, I don't like this. Oh, nope, those are
It's
boars.
got it. Quick, quick. I must get this shot. We caught him. In the middle of his dinner. This is history making, truly. Nature in all its glory and cruelty.
Could have been you if you'd stayed on that bank where I found you.
Don't. We can congratulate ourselves on a job well done, Mr. Marston. Take us back to where we began.
Anyway, I hope you got something worth printing.
Oh, assuredly. The nation will see these beautiful beasts for what they are.
Killing machines?
No. Oh, well, yes. Maybe that's not a bad thing. This is America, after all. We hold a love for killers that borders on macabre. Loving killers is part of our makeup.
Maybe. Maybe. But usually we wait until after they're dead.
Well, I hope we've changed.
Me too.
There's a real message hidden here in these this mission set somewhere.
Ah, yes. Docker here. Just pull up to the bank.
Yeah, I thought it was 3 gators sitting on the shore there, and then I looked and go, hey, they look a little bit smaller, and then I saw the gator come out of the water and eat one of the boars. Did you see how fast that gator ate that thing though? Holy Christ! It grabbed onto it and then it was like swallowed it, and next thing you know, it was swimming around. Let's just get out of here. Let's just no more of this.
That should do us.
Yes.
These pictures you're taking,
Yes.
they gonna be any good?
I certainly hope so. Though I doubt it. The subject is magnificent. The backdrop jaw-dropping. But the agent of beauty is a talentless fool. Although maybe I'll strike a few lucky shots.
You sure do make me laugh the way you talk about yourself, Mr. Mason.
Well, I'm good for laughing at, if nothing else.
I didn't mean it like that.
I know. Still, I feel such a fool round you, sir.
Don't worry about it.
I foresaw many an ignominious future for myself, but never damsel in distress.
Well, good luck, Mr. Mason.
Thank you, and to you too, sir.
And try and stay out of trouble.
I shall certainly try.
In order to get close-up photographs of alligators, Mason needs help rowing into the middle of the blue water marsh. Looks like there's still more for Albert Mason as well. All right. That was important to get because it was a stranger mission way out here. And, you know, I'm sure we'll get some more in this area, but I don't know if I'm ever going to be coming down this way again. So that was an important one to pick up. Okay, now... Now we focus on our next grave. Again, I will not reveal who it is in particular that we're going to see until we get there and actually inspect the grave. It's the element of surprise. It's a great thing. There could be gators anywhere here, so please, let's get the heck out of here. There's Albert. Bye, Albert.
Okay, partner.
See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. Don't spend too much time out there, my man. We're underweight. It looks like we're getting to almost a dangerously underweight stage here, so we're gonna want to consider our options. Maybe we should ride back to Saint Denis and take care of ourselves. I could set up camp and maybe cook some food or something, but let's just head back to that nice saloon. We'll get a nice bite to eat. That's actually right in the area of where Tilly is. That gives us a chance to give Tilly one last try before we call it quits for good, and we'll be able to re-up and sleep. This game would be a lot shorter in length if you didn't have to do so much, you know, towards managing your character, managing your horse, and just surviving in general. A big part of this game is survival in itself. And when you're with the gang is you know, survival of the gang as well, not just yourself, but survival and success of the entire gang. So that's definitely been a big part of the length as well. Think about how many times we've had to you know, stop to sleep or eat, find a place to do just that. Definitely not complaining about it. I mean, this game is spectacular in many facets, but I'm just saying that's definitely where a big chunk of playtime comes from, because it's a necessity. Surviving is not optional. Eating and sleeping in this game, really not an optional thing. At some point, you're gonna have to do it. Past the Saint Denis suburbia. Sorry.
Slow down. You got a problem?
Do you have a problem?
Morning, mister.
Once again. I mean, seeing as how I've got this whole block memorized, I know it as soon as I see it. We're here. So again, just looking for Tilly.
Whatever is the matter?
Bonjour, monsieur. Oh, I say.
That rich fella from the city got robbed. They found a hog tied and neck on the side of the road. Some folks ain't got no decency.
The Mysterious Case of Tilly Jackson.
Bonjour.
Could make a Hollywood movie out of this. Just John walking around in circles trying to find Tilly all day.
Good morning, sir.
Now that is what I call entertainment value. No, once again we come up short. And I know I could probably spend more time investigating, but I'm telling you, we have walked around this block what feels like dozens of times, but is more realistically probably like 4 times. So,
Okay, boy. You good?
what can you do? She's supposed to be sitting around there somewhere waiting for a tram. Beats me though.
One book to happiness. One book to truth. One book.
Tom, can I get another bloody drink over here?
You ever play this before,
Where is Tom? It's too bad. It really is. Can somebody horsewhip him for me, please? For the love of all that is holy.
Who the hell is she?
Good morning.
What are you looking at, cowboy?
Well, I ain't too sure.
Well, that's a feeling I imagine you're just too familiar with, darling. Now, shoo, please. I'm waiting for someone interesting to turn up.
Bicycle, you know. My dear, she took herself right across the road.
That was a weird encounter because we got like the widescreen bars there and everything else. Like it was gonna be like a cut scene. That was strange. That character, it doesn't just say stranger.
What does a tied-up old hag have to do to get drunk around here? Please, gentlemen, you're embarrassing yourselves.
I don't remember her being a staple of this place here in Saint Denis when we've been here before, so it's just interesting because again, when she speaks, it doesn't come up as stranger, it comes up as Lillian. And when I went up and greeted her, we just had that little side conversation there. So that's a little bit peculiar for sure.
Yes, I've heard that.
The prime rib, please.
Lord knows we've got a couple bucks. We can go after a nice bite to eat here.
How do you do? All right.
We're gonna rent a room and sleep too.
This town is so bloody boring. Boring. All of you, you're all boring. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Not an interesting mind or a nasty habit among the lot of you. Place used to be sophisticated. Stories I heard would make a devil blush. Not anymore. The devil's gone elsewhere. And we're left with the choir masters. And not the fun kind.
There are fun kinds of choir masters?
What is this world we're living in?
Strange. Something about this woman is really strange. She's talking about how Saint Denis has changed over the years. Becoming more civilian. More civil in general, I would guess. John could actually probably use a bath and a room, so why don't we do both?
A room for tonight, please.
Okay, room is all set. Just head upstairs when you're ready.
Latin, like honeylingus.
I need a bath, if that's okay. Can you
I have an
arrange?
education.
I'll have the girls meet
Daddy
you.
hired a wonderful tutor. Poor fellow fell in love with my mother.
She is still talking.
They say hanged, not hung, when it's people.
What a lovely,
Down
cheery
here,
lady
you
she
say
is.
Lynched. But you always did mangle the language.
Oh my god.
God, I am so bored.
This used to be a great saloon to come celebrate in here, and now I would never come here just based on her being here. God, what an annoying you-know-what.
How are you, my love?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, John, probably a little stinky, and while we're already kind of taking care of things here in town, we might as well wash up a little bit too. We don't really have that much more that I want to accomplish here.
I'm all right, I reckon.
I haven't accepted a bath assistant in a while, but
No harm done. You just relax.
I've been so task focused here. It's been like all work, no play. It's definitely seemed that way for the last little while anyways, but I feel like at this point John would be very focused with certain goals in mind. And I mean, he's got Abigail, so he wouldn't be worried about getting pleasure from other ladies so much as he would be worried about getting pleasure once again from Abigail and getting her back. Okay. So close your door, John. Close your door. You don't want people to be looking in there. Oh, that's a long way. It's middle of the day right now. That's a long way till morning. I guess John could probably use a long sleep. Get a good night's rest. Yeah, now that these last few bounty posters down this way are done, and we did that Albert Mason mission. There's no more Stranger Mission stuff available now anyways. So yeah, basically all we have to do to finish cleaning things up here is the final 3 graves and the final random encounter. So first is a grave.
Someone made nearly $1,000 at the riverboat. If they smart, they'd have left town soon after.
Yes, I've heard that.
So as I said, we've only got the 3 graves and the random encounter left to really focus on right now. We're kind of forgetting about the Tilly situation.
Raise. These street kids tried to pick my pocket again on my
Didn't realize I had my mic off, but I said I was going to change some clothes, but I like the typical John Marston look that we got going on for ourselves right now. Pretty sure all of the graves that we visited, we visited kind of in chronological order to when that particular person died. You know, with Hosea and Lenny, they were together, they died at the same time. We're kind of visiting people in a very logical order. Seems to be the right way to do it. I should have tried Tilly one more time before I left. I'm so obsessed with this Tilly thing. It's gonna drive me insane.
Good morning. Come here. Come here.
no luck. Yeah, so this next person is also another fairly recent death. So the reaction here might be a little bit more intense, more impactful character.
Good morning.
Unfortunate that we weren't able to actually go and trigger all of the random encounters, but I mean, all 9 graves and 3 out of 4 of the random encounters is not bad. All considered, it's not bad. We got a very, very foggy day here. The kind of mist and whatnot and smog coming off the water, all that fog.
We did nothing wrong. Whoever put you two together was planning long and hard to ruin my day. Hey, you there? Get us out of here.
So that might have just been the last time there that we will ever be in the Saint-Denis region. Until Red Dead Redemption 3, that is. And I mean, you can bet your bottom dollar that that'll be a thing. With the vision of realism that companies like Rockstar are going towards, you probably have to end up breathing manually for your character in Red Dead Redemption 3. Just saying that out loud sounds so weird. Red Dead Redemption 3. So now we're quite far north of Saint-Denis. We're really north of the whole Blue Water Marsh area. We're kind of out of that bayou area, Le Gras and the fishing towns and whatnot, all in there. We're right out of the bayou and right into kind of central New Hanover, out of Lemoyne and kind of into central New Hanover, more towards the Annesburg area. We're just south of Annesburg now. That's where our final random encounter will be. Once we finish up with this grave here, we're just coming upon it now. This is the third straight day that I have done a stream. I've been happy that I've been able to get this done, but this was another big thing for me to kind of get out of the way, going to see these graves, so that we could kind of just return to being able to sit down and conclude this fabulous saga. Not that I'm in a hurry to get it finished, but I just wanted to get all this kind of extra stuff out of the way here.
Slow now.
So we gotta go up there. Figures that there has to be a grave on top of a big cliff. We should be able to find a way around and up here. They need a smart GPS that kind of takes things like elevation and stuff like that into account when building routes. Or maybe just somebody who's not a dumbass to play the game. We need one of those two things here.
Whoa, easy.
So this is it. I can already see the grave here. Wow. Out of all of the graves we visited so far, I've talked a little bit at each one about how nice or how not nice of a final resting place each place is. This is like everyone's lifelong dream of where you'd want to be buried. I guess not many people dream about being buried, but truly, truly spectacular. Check out this view. So we take advantage of our map here. We are looking straight south right now towards Saint-Denis. So interestingly enough, I bet you anything, if it was nighttime right now and we were looking out across this cliff, you'd probably see the lights from Saint-Denis. We're well north right now. We've ridden well north. But you can see lights a long way away, like where we are in Toronto. You can look across at nighttime and see, you know, potentially the lights in Hamilton or St. Catharines or you know, a city in Niagara, mostly St. Catharines. But you know, this is kind of a similar situation where you can see lights a long way away. But I mean, even during the daytime here, look at this. Take this in. Screw COVID-19. You don't gotta be stuck. You don't gotta be worried about not getting out to do your hikes. Just pop Red Dead 2 into your PlayStation 4. You get all the possible Mother Nature one could possibly ask for, in all of its beauty and glory. This is truly a spectacular view. We've seen some spectacular views in this game. This is definitely going on my list as one of the best. But the question is, whose grave is it? I feel like we could probably make like a little game show out of this or something. This is Susan Grimshaw. I referred to her lots in the game as just Susan. She was referred to by a lot of characters as Miss Grimshaw. And Miss Grimshaw was another leader figure in the Van der Linde gang for sure as well. And obviously, you know, Dutch was really the leader of the gang, the final decision maker. There's no Van der Linde gang without Dutch. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But when you think about, you know, paternal and maternal figures in the camp, you know, Miss Grimshaw was the matriarch of the Van der Linde camp, no doubt. And I would argue that, you know, Hosea Matthews was really the patriarch of the Van der Linde gang. Miss Grimshaw was also level-headed. She had her priorities straight. Supposedly, Miss Grimshaw had a fling with Dutch van der Linde, which is kind of significant, although it never lasted. She was in charge of mobilizing the camp and resetting it up when we were on the move all the time. So she had a lot of responsibility on Miss Grimshaw's shoulders. She was one of the older members of the gang, whereas we had a lot of really young people in the gang, like John Marston, Abigail, Jack, you know, Tilly was really young, Mary Beth. There were a lot of young faces. Miss Grimshaw was one of the older ones for sure. But as I said, she was well respected and never really succumbed to the sickness of Dutch and Micah that spread there at the end. She was unfortunately shot by Micah. That was her death, shot in the stomach. Betrayed is more like it. And she was one of the last major character deaths of the game, other than Arthur. But that's right, going back to Tilly. Sorry, I was just reading up a little bit on Miss Grimshaw. Tilly earlier, that's how she knows the Foreman brothers. There was a mission we did with Arthur where Tilly was abducted by the Foreman brothers, and it was Miss Grimshaw who actually tipped us off that she believed Tilly was missing because of the Foreman brothers abducting her. And then we go save them. And then, of course, Anthony Foreman was the bounty that we just got there in Saint Denis. So that's how they knew Tilly, and that's how John recognized him. And he knew the Foreman name from having had that experience at the camp before. So that's the connection, a good connection to make. But Miss Grimshaw was an important character for the van der Linde gang, and her demise, just another reason why everything fell apart. Lots of mention of her obviously being a maternal figure, and there's no better way for me to describe Miss Grimshaw. That's how I always saw her in camp, as being the mature, maternal, literally mom kind of figure in the gang. So her loss was a tough one for a lot of people, I would say. And then there's not really a time that I can remember where Miss Grimshaw screwed us over or harmed us in any way. So a lot of respect going out to Miss Grimshaw. Okay, with just 2 graves left and 1 random encounter left, let's do it. This final random encounter, I know it's in Annesburg, and I know, Maya, you're going to kill me, because I should know this. I should have memorized their locations already before I went into my stream, especially after you told them all to me. But I'll find it. Annesburg is not that big of a place, is it? When I get to each grave, it takes me a second to kind of remember the person. I kind of like to give them a little moment of silence. And just to kind of remember some specific times with that person or specific things we remember about them. I've enjoyed making the discussion about each grave a personal one because, cool.
Okay. Yep, there.
Oh, that was a close one. Didn't really realize the drop-off there was as big as it was. My experience with some of these characters might be different than somebody else's experience in a particular playthrough. felt like The Sims in a way that you got to really develop a relationship with certain characters. The relationships you did have with characters could go different ways depending on your interactions. Just the ability to go to camp and, you know, kind of free talk to everybody was kind of cool. The interactions were always very dynamic.
These here city folks, they're gonna have trinkets and all.
I want food, not trinkets. Can't eat trinkets.
Well, food don't go make you pretty.
We got some stragglers from the Murphy brood here, so I'm gonna pick them off.
You ain't never gonna be pretty.
That ain't how you was acting last night.
You shut up about that. Go. Hey, look at this hat. Well, I look like a Saint Denis gentleman.
You look just like one. But you sure don't smell like one.
Well, yeah, well, I wouldn't want to smell like no city boy anyway. They smell like dinner to me.
Ain't that stupid thing, and let's go.
That's my kind of hunting. Looks like they had just killed some city folk here from Saint Denis.
Got friends, do you?
Should have never set foot in this hollow.
Oh, you son of a... God damn. Oh, Jesus. They got friends. Still got some shooting. There must be a Murphy brood camp around here or something like that. That's Butcher's Creek. That's that weird town where there was a series of stranger missions. We haven't been there in a while. Don't really plan on going back there. That was one strange place. Shout out if you remember the Butcher's Creek. I know that was also a favorite amongst my viewers. Can we get on with our lives now?
You ready, boy?
Annisburg is not too far away. That's it. We're almost good here. I feel like I've promised that we're in the home stretch many times throughout our little playthrough, but I definitely feel like we're closer than ever. I do still think we have a number of main story missions in Epilogue 2, so I don't think we're going to be hitting the end anytime in the immediate future. But now that we got the graves and some of these little things in the epilogue off of our chest, kind of like we did at the end of Chapter 6 where we just banged through mission after mission after mission, we can kind of do that here with Epilogue Part 2. This encounter, I'm not sure who we've run into. So far, we've run into Mary Beth, Pearson, and we tried to run into Tilly out of the ones that are still alive. And there's one more that we're going to see right here in what is, once again, probably our last time in Annisburg. Oops, excuse me.
How does you?
How does ya? At least we got mostly good weather for this trip. If you didn't know the location of these graves, it would take days of playing easily to locate them all. So I would think that the random encounter is probably at a public place. The train station would be my best guess.
All right. Hey there, fella. Hello.
How's things? Train's due to arrive shortly. Prepare to board. Welcome. How do you do?
Hey there.
Over here, fella.
Hello, sir.
Hey, partner.
Hamish. Hamish is another character that deserves a shout out for characters who have died, for sure. We've already kind of honored him. Arthur really honored him by taking... Oh, no way!
Hello? Didn't I meet you a long time ago?
No way!
I don't know. With Arthur? Arthur Morgan?
Oh, yes.
My name is Rainsfall.
And I'm Jim Milton. John Marston.
Oh. Is Arthur,
He passed away a long time ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He saved my life. He gave his.
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
And you? I know you had tough times.
Well... My people aren't really a tribe. We're just a bunch of families, I suppose. But we're in Canada now. It's,
What are you doing here?
I don't really know. My son, I suppose. Oh, he fell.
I know. I'm sorry. I've got a son. I'm very sorry.
Oh, it was a long time ago now. Well, it's good to see you, Mr. Marston.
And you.
This is helping my honor as John Marston too, because I think I had to restart the whole honor thing down there when I started to take control of John Marston, and I've worked it up just like I did with Arthur Morgan. Even though I do treat some decisions differently with John Marston, it seems that my decision making has led to almost the same results as I had with Arthur Morgan. That was a very, very unexpected confrontation. I expected most of these encounters, I expected all of these encounters to be with those who were a part of our gang, but icing on the cake and a cherry on top, that was by far my favorite, encounter with anybody that we knew. I think that was an extremely important character to run into once again. So Rainsfall was obviously the chief of the at the Wapiti Indian Reservation, who played a major role in the climax and kind of the turning point of Red Dead towards the end. Maybe not the turning point, but definitely towards the finale, the natives played a very, very large role in the scope of things. His son was, of course, Eagle Flies, whom Arthur had a great relationship with. Unfortunately, Dutch Vanderlyn got into the ears of Eagle Flies and kind of sent him to his death, more or less. They were being largely mistreated as a group by members of the army at Fort Wallace, trying to take their land. It looks like they have vacated the land and moved up to Canada now, which, good for them. Rainsfall was such a good man. He was such a good man to Arthur. He was, out of any character, I talked a little bit about Hosea and Miss Grimshaw being paternal and maternal characters. For Arthur, I mean, he's a little bit of a floater. He never really needed a mother or father character. Arthur is just kind of Arthur. He just kind of exists. Arthur's not even really much of a leader at the end of the day either, right? Not like someone like Dutch. Arthur wouldn't be able to really lead a whole gang. But if there was one character in the entire game that was kind of like a parent figure for Arthur, it would be Rains Fall. And I think that despite meeting Rains Fall very late into Arthur's life, I think that Arthur took Rains Fall's advice to the grave with him. I think he respected Rains Fall's vastly. We did a lot of work with the Indian Reservation in helping them at the end, whereas Micah and Dutch were obviously doing things to hinder their success and progress. But I'm glad to see Rainsfall doing well. Very sad that, he's up with his tribe in Canada now, and he's still so emotionally affected by the death of his son that even 8 years later he's still taking a train down to the southern United States to visit his son. And I guess that kind of gives it away. There's only 2 graves left. We know one of them is Arthur's. The other grave is that of his son, Eagle Flies. So we'll talk a little bit more about our interactions with the native tribe when we go to see Eagle Fly's grave shortly. Wow, that was extremely impactful. Shows you what I thought of Rains Fall a little bit too, and how much I respected
all right.
Rains Fall as a character. It's really sad that everything played out the way that it did. But again, in the grand scheme of things, Eagle Flies saved Arthur Morgan's life, and the natives saved Arthur Morgan's life when he was almost abandoned by Dutch. And then Arthur, in turn, was able to save John and get John to freedom and allow him to live a happy life. So, if it wasn't for the natives and the work that they did for us and with us, things might have even been even worse than they turned out to be. So,
look, shut the corn all day, I tell you what.
They were stopping vaccines from getting to the natives. They were, hurting their food supplies and whatnot. It was just not a great situation, and we kind of stepped in as Arthur. Dutch didn't really like that we were going behind his back and helping them, when in turn he was, trying to set them up a little bit. But those two, Eagle Flies and Rainsfall, and the entire tribe was, throughout the entire game, I always thought, a Western is not a Western without natives, without some sort of a story involving a native tribe. Think of any. I've talked about this early on in my streams. Where are the natives? Every piece of Western media has, be it a movie, a television show. If it takes place on the American frontier, there's natives involved, and we never really got to deal with them till the end. And then, boy oh boy, did we have to deal with them. They ended up being a major part of the story. So we'll go on to the final two graves here. They're both up by Donner Falls, kind of close to the first two graves that we visited with Davy Callender and Jenny Kirk. So this is actually Eagle Fly's grave. I find it almost fitting that Eagle Fly's grave and Arthur Morgan's grave are relatively close to each other. Distance-wise, they are not far apart. You're hearing new dialogue walking around cities and towns, I've noticed now here in the epilogue, mostly referencing, you know, changes in times, how things are changing. I'm sure mining operations like the one here in Annisburg are probably becoming more modernized. So at first I thought that, you know, these graves were laid out in a manner that they were arranged by ease of access. You know what I mean? Like, as we're going down the list, you know, we're kind of doing them in geographical order, but the order of the list that I did these graves in was more so based on the order of when the deaths happened. Because these two graves, Arthur and Eagle Fly's, like I said, are pretty close to the first couple graves that we went to go visit. But you're not going to go see Arthur Morgan's grave first. Then what's the point of going to see all the other ones? His is the only one that counts. No, I'm just kidding. While it took 3 videos. What the hell?
Head up.
Are you okay, partner? You don't see that happen very often. Just gonna loot you real quick. Is he dead? Oh, he's definitely dead. No, he's definitely dead. Is that a crime, shooting a dead body? I feel like it probably would be. I just wanted to put the man out of his misery. He looked dead. Looked dead to me. And it didn't say I committed a crime, so... That was ruthless. That was ruthless and unnecessary.
So you ain't so big and tough.
If I could take a bullet back, I would. I was gonna help the man. I didn't get off my horse to shoot him in the back of the head, if that's what you're thinking. Jesus, he's like a rabid black bear running around. Winnie the Pooh on meth. Does our cross-country trek really have to come to an end? Because I've really been enjoying going through all these landscapes one final time. Oh.
Calm yourself, friend.
I'm in Predator Alley right now, apparently. Would have been nice to take Buell or one of my many other famed horses to the end, but Thief will have to do. You can see we're getting to some higher elevations right now. We know, obviously, these final two graves are at higher elevations. We were talking to Charles, I guess it was, with John, and he was telling us about having buried Arthur. So that's you know, we knew Arthur's grave was here, but it was around anyways. It has been referenced to. We getting closer? Sorry, I got a pebble in my shoe there I was trying to get out. Pedal in my shoe. Pedal in my boot. We're not wearing shoes. Foot Locker don't exist yet.
Out of the way!
I feel like we're gonna need about 5 moments of silence for Arthur Morgan. I've touched on a lot of Arthur Morgan as a character. I mean, throughout our entire playthrough. I mean, as I play, I like to discuss themes, characters. You know, I like to really delve into the games that I play and dissect them a little bit. So I don't want to go too overboard. I didn't want to go too overboard in dissecting characters. Doing these graves just for the boredom factor, obviously, and not wanting y'all to fall asleep. But I did want to try and highlight some of the more important features of each character. Kind of like watching a sports game. You can watch the game or you can catch the highlights later. Well, I'm doing the highlights for these characters. Rockstar has obviously released background cards, character information for each of the characters in the gang that you can read up about if you'd like to find out a little bit more about specific characters. I think we've done a good job of summarizing our relationships with these characters, at least. I feel like I'm climbing the mountain to get the 10 commandments, for Christ's sakes. Jesus, how much farther do we got? Talking about final resting places, well, these ones are going to be some of the more pretty ones, I would imagine. Again, I think it was Charles that referenced burying Arthur. He said he buried Arthur on a hill. There was mention of a sunset, so I'm sure, kind of like Miss Grimshaw's beautiful final resting spot, these ones ought to be very pretty as well. rolling hills in these areas, no doubt about it. It's all lots of trails and whatnot running through here, but it's all very hilly, if that's a word. Okay, so we are approaching our destination. Should be kind of just around the corner. And that'll, honest to God, be it. It absolutely blows my mind. We are pretty far up north. We should maybe go see Marko Dragic before we cut the stream. I'll admit it is probably worth it. I'm making a point to try and clean things up. Well, that's another thing that would be worth the time, I think. It's weird though, because we have developed a relationship with Marko Dragic as Arthur Morgan. I don't think Marko has ever met John, so I don't know how these missions will play out now that we're a completely different character. I think that's how the Ties That Bind mission got messed up, because we were kind of halfway through it with Arthur and never really finished it, and now we're as John, so it made us redo a portion of it. I don't know. Honestly, I'm hoping you guys will give me some answers to some of my questions. Well, it took us until nighttime, but we finally arrived. That looks like it there, is it not? That is indeed the grave. I've noticed that when you come into an area where a grave is, I don't know if this is true or not, but my controller has vibrated. It's rumbled when I'm in the vicinity of a grave. So if you yourself are looking for graves while you're watching my vids, you know you're in the right area, because your controller will rumble. So if that's the case, have a quick peek around, see if you can't locate anything. Typically it's like a dirt mount with rocks piled on top, and then some sort of a stick or something to mark the grave. Obviously, a lot of the graves that we have visited to this point have been crosses to mark the grave. And clearly, that's not going to be the case here with Eagle Flies, seeing as, you know, he is not part of the Christian, Western world Christian faith. So his grave is marked a little bit differently. It looks like there's some sort of a pendant of sorts hanging off of the stick, maybe something, a tie or something that belonged to Eagle Flies. But this is him. Crazy. And he'll forever get to hear the nice peaceful sound of the rushing water. Eagle Flies was young and naive. That's the word I was looking for. You know, I've been trying to figure out the right word to use for eagle flies for 2 streams now. I've been waiting. I knew there was a word to use for him. Impulsive. Impulsive is the right word to use for eagle flies. How he reacted, whereas his dad, Rainsfall, he had the wisdom and the experience in leading his tribe to make more rational decisions, ultimately leading to Rainsfall living and eagle flies dying. But I can't say all bad things about eagle flies, because he was a fantastic human being, much like his father. As much as his father tried to protect him and tried to get him to not pursue that final battle and everything, we owe our lives as Arthur Morgan, I mean he's dead now, but to eagle flies. Because Arthur was saved, John was saved, so ultimately that means that eagle flies plays a part in John Marston being able to even stand here and visit this grave himself. So big kudos to eagle flies, who came in very late in our Red Dead 2 story, but arguably had one of the biggest impacts in kind of imploding things and really difficult guys like eagle flies and Arthur Morgan die, and guys like Micah and Dutch walk away unscathed. Another beautiful resting spot by the waterfall there. I like this description of eagle flies from Shack News, the website that I'm using for the specific grave locations. Eagle flies was a candle that burned too bright. He was young, he was angsty. Suckered in by the silver tongue of Dutch van der Linde, quote unquote. Hell of a lot of truth to that. And last but by far not the least, it's time for Arthur Morgan. And he is... somewhere about there, give or take. It's a very big incline of an area there. You can see it's a bit of a hilly, mountainous kind of region. So hopefully it's not too tough to get to. Oh man, what do I even say about Arthur Morgan? I guess the best way for me to summarize Arthur... I've enjoyed playing as John here in the epilogue, and it's made me kind of miss playing as him in the first Red Dead, but I think I actually preferred playing as Arthur more here in Red Dead 2 than I did as John Marston in the first Red Dead. He had a great sense of humor to him. He had his head on straight. He was willing to accept and take responsibility for his past mistakes. He was willing to move on and help everyone else move on along with him. He was not self-centered. He was not selfish. He would want everybody else taken care of before himself. He was truly an inspirational character, and I really like how he transformed Arthur and made the transformation possible by making all the right decisions throughout the game and growing him as a character. But we really truly transformed Arthur. From when we first started controlling Arthur at the beginning of this game, 1 year ago in real time now, 80 parts later, I would say Arthur was a different character than when we finished playing with him 10 parts ago. I don't think there's anything else Arthur could have done to change the circumstances and change the events, change what happened, not single-handedly anyways. This is a man that had tuberculosis for months and continued to do everything he could for the people that he knew and loved, and continued to stand up for what he thought was right and stand up against Micah and Dutch. And Micah and Dutch, obviously, always with these damn wolves.
Whoa, whoa!
God, my bad. Trying to have a touching speech about Arthur Morgan here and getting rudely interrupted once again by a pack of wolves. What is up with my luck getting interrupted by packs of wolves? For real, though. That's got to be like the 6th or 7th time in this game
One more time, boy.
that a very happy moment has been interrupted by a very angry pack of wolves. Anyways. Arthur Morgan. That's what we were talking about, right? Think so. I honestly don't know what else to say. We all know the kind of man Arthur Morgan was. I mean, here's the thing is they make you fall in love with Arthur so hard, but you got to know the whole game that this is going to be Arthur's fate. I mean, not a lot of mention of Arthur in the first Red Dead, so we know at that point in time he's no longer alive. The events surrounding the circumstances surrounding his death were always a little bit of a mystery until we found out that it was TB. But that was kind of the nail in the coffin, the confirmation that it was coming, and rather soon. Apparently, I'm not the only one climbing up this mountain at 4:47 in the morning. Okay, so now it's more about here. So it's right down there. We might have to try and continue on foot here. This one might be a bit of a tricky one to get to. I do have it right in front of me, but It's not that easy. Yeah, that's definitely it where I've marked it. That's definitely the general area, so why don't we begin the descent to make our way down here. Check it out. You got the beautiful Grizzly Mountains. That's kind of the west there, kind of northwest. Arthur gets to rest, surrounded by all this beautiful nature. Like the king of the hill, like the king of the land that Arthur truly was. Arthur did have a little bit of a short temper from time to time. He definitely has his flaws, but I think as a human being, we can all share in that. As a virtual pixelated human being, I should say. Gotta clarify there. No way. Check it out. I thought the view was good from up there. Not only check it out, but check out the grave he's got. They really didn't hold back. So this is it. Looks like he gets to see the sunset the sunset every day. Sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Those are the western skies over there. So I'm sure at certain times of day this view is probably even more beautiful. He gets a full view of all the landscape has to offer, from the mountains to the forests. But this is it. This was our friend, our brother, the man that we spent over 100 hours of time really truly getting to know. And I just wanted to get a better view of what's written on his grave here. It obviously says, Arthur Morgan, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. And I think with that sentence alone, we'll leave Arthur at that, because that's a perfect way to describe Arthur Morgan as a character. So we do indeed get a trophy for paying our respects. I never try and 100% games. There have been some games that I've tried to platinum trophy in the past. Different Call of Duty games and stuff. Easy pickings. I never try and do that, but what I've liked with our playthrough here is that we have gotten some trophies that are optional, but reasonably optional, and some trophies that are pretty cool to show off, like the collecting one. We got a trophy for doing at least one collecting mission, and now going to see all the graves. We're not just getting trophies that you're automatically going to get as part of completing the game. We have kind of gone the extra mile to do at least some more side stuff. My goal was never to 100% this game. I think you'd have to definitely play the game at least once anyways before you could do that, to really get an understanding of it, and also to be able to do it a little quicker. When all is said and done, though, we should be close to 90% completion, and that's impressive to me, so Arthur would be proud. I'm proud of how far we came with Arthur Morgan, of our playthrough. I think Arthur would be proud of where John is right now, and where we continue to take John. So, I mean, that's it. 3 videos ago, in part 77, I made a point to say, you know what, we got to do this. We got to do this journey, find these 9 graves, run into some of our friends from the past. We had to come out here to do the Albert Mason and bounty hunting missions anyways, and we did it. We were able to clean everything up just as I hoped. Maybe it wasn't as fun-filled and exciting as it could have been, but there was already a pretty somber mood coming into this. Visiting these graves
Here we go, boy.
is a pretty emotional thing in and of itself, so I wasn't going to have too much fun with it. We're already pretty close to Marko Dragic's cabin. And there goes the controller. So that's I will go take a very, very quick peek to see if we can progress the Marko Dragic situation. I never really used that marker system very much, but yeah, that's pretty much it. We got everything done that I really wanted to get done. Now we can just go back to Beecher's Hope. We have the Uncle mission there, and then any other little things, and the bounty poster mission in Blackwater. The only other thing I am going to address is any stranger missions that come up. So Albert Mason and Marko Dragic in particular. But I don't really expect too much more from those. Hopefully we won't come all the way back out here and then another one appears up here at Annisburg. We can always kind of fast travel there. But that's pretty much it. We can return to Beecher's Hope, and the next couple videos we can really pound out some more main story and get the conversation going with that again. So I just can't remember the exact location of Marko Dragic's cabin. I know it's kind of in this general area. Well, I'll tell you something, this stream was a lot easier to get through knowing that the conclusion was on the horizon, and also not getting stuck trying to find Tilly in the middle of Saint Denis. That was helpful in keeping things moving. I mean, if you think I missed anything in going through each of those characters, I really implore you to participate in the chat below. Definitely make sure to like and subscribe. That was a hell of a journey. That took us roughly 6 hours of real time to actually go out and do all that side stuff, visit all the graves. I really wanted to be reflective. Jesus. Watch where you're going. I really wanted to be reflective with the characters. We spent a lot of time with some of these people, and I wanted to really be able to look back on them as a person and, you know, make appropriate statements. But, you know, if there's something that you would like to add about Arthur Morgan, about how you feel about the time that we spent with him, or about any of the other characters, definitely participate in that chat below. So this Marko Dragic icon not showing up on our map, hasn't shown up for a while. Even with Arthur, it never really showed up. Supposedly we can get an electric lantern from doing the Marko Dragic missions, though. I do have a light, which is kind of electric, but in my log, the Marko Dragic's branch of Stranger Mission is still showing as an active mission. I'll show it to you here. There you go. Visit Marko Dragic. That's all it says. So I guess that's what we have to go do, and then we're still waiting to see if there's any more Albert Mason. So we can finally return to Blackwater to explore that area a little bit more. We can return to the story out there. We only have one more bounty poster to do, and it's back out there. So really, we finished everything that takes us back out to this part of the land, which is what I really wanted to accomplish, so we can just focus on what we need to do down in the Blackwater area. I feel just as rewarded having done that as I did after doing the rock carvings. If you haven't checked out those videos and you're waiting for me to upload more from time to time, on my channel, Red Dead Redemption 2 extra content playlist, there's 4 videos up covering all kinds of different extra side stuff, and I wasn't sure that there was going to be a lot of entertainment value there with them, and I think they turned out to be some of my better videos, really. And you kind of get a sense of me playing without focusing so much just on getting story missions and getting straight to the content. We really go out, branch out a little bit, and explore the map. We do a lot of fishing and legendary animal hunting and stuff like that. So if you have not seen those videos, definitely check them out. They are not required. We don't do any story content. We don't do any kind of main story progression. I steer clear of that, but they were a lot of fun to do, so check them out if you haven't already. Damn, the Leaning Tower. A piece of that tree's really leaning. They're all really leaning. I guess they're on a bit of a slope there. We are very far up north right now. Where Marko Dragic is, of course. He is kind of like the mad scientist character. He was one of the more memorable, he's been one of the more memorable Stranger missions for me. Was Marko Dragic. And we got another bear.
Easy.
Come on, thief. You're a lot bigger than that dumb thing. Aha, I knew it was around here somewhere. You know it's Marko Dragic's place because of the strange architecture, and it just looks like a science building. When you, like, if you were to think off the top of your head right now, science building, this right here is what would come to mind. Looks like it belongs at a university somewhere.
Professor. Where's your creation now?
Oh my god! I did not expect this. So we can... We have knives. We have the hunting knife, the Civil War knife, and John's knife. We have a lantern, a hatchet, and a machete. And it's asking me to drop the machete for the electric lantern. An electric lantern previously owned by Marko Dragic. So we know that Marko Dragic was working on a Frankenstein-like character. I don't know why it was forcing me to drop the machete to pick up the electric lantern. We are actually able to carry... Actually, the electric lantern is now my main light source, so that makes sense. That was kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, I think that's where they kind of got some inspiration from, was kind of with Frankenstein. And he was messing around with a lot of electrical stuff. He was an inventor, first and foremost. You can see the kind of lab and kind of what he was involved in. Might as well pick up another cigarette card. Haven't picked up too many of those over the course of the game. There you go, that's our first one in that set. I don't know if I should, I guess we should be paying our respects to Marko Dragic while we're here too. Oh, there's a note on the table. Let's see what we got. We're going to pretend that John knew about Marko because Arthur mentioned him multiple times, having dealt with this crazy character Marko, and John came up here just to kind of check on the guy and let him know, obviously, of Arthur's demise and see if he's been able to make any progress. You can see these little drawings here regarding his little Frankenstein robot, or whatever it is you want to call it. But it says invisible waves, ghost waves, mystery waves, magic waves, waves you cannot see. Okay. And no sign of the Frankenstein-like thing, so, and you can see it obviously broke out of his cage. That is what killed Marko. Killed by his own invention, and this is kind of a good metaphor, and I think an intentional metaphor for artificial intelligence. We got another trophy for finishing this out, and I think it was called Artificial Intelligence or something like that. We have another little note over here. I thought maybe he would have left a note for us, but I don't think he was really planning on dying. 5 years, 1 automaton, receive funding, win top scientist prize. In 6 years, he wants 2 automatons. I guess that's what they are, really, automatons. Make automaton factory. 10 years, 100 automatons, become very rich man. And in 15 years, his goal was to build an automaton army and take over the world. Haha, very funny. There's a genuine amount of fear, though, that even with people creating AI now, that AI can eventually outsmart us and take advantage of us. And I think that there's another lesson to be learned here. A lot of these stranger missions have real lessons at their roots. They really have a lot to learn from. It's not all about fun. Rockstar is providing us a very invaluable education. Crazy to think that this man just stayed out here for all these years. Obviously, he died only recently because he hasn't rotted yet. And that's the last time we'll ever see Marko Dragic. That's a sad ending to that. To these stranger missions, the Marko Dragic ones. Honestly, Marko Dragic was a smart man, but he created something that outsmarted him. And that is very dangerous. Well, I'm glad that we were able to completely conclude the Marko Dragic missions. So now it's literally all we have to do is the Uncle mission waiting for us at Beecher's Hope, and now that we've killed a bit more time, the next Albert Mason mission has also shown up. This has got to be part 5, I think, of Arcadia for Amateurs. So that one's got to be coming to an end soon too. So that's the only stranger mission that we still got ongoing. We just got our main stuff and the Albert Mason stuff, and that's it. I I was thinking about riding back down now. Let's ride. I'll save and quit here, and then when we start next time, we can do Albert Mason. We can touch base in Blackwater, do the little wanted poster there, eat and do whatever we need to do, and then we can finally head back. By the time we get back to Uncle, I just hope he's gonna be like, Jesus, John, where the hell you been all this time? Uncle's trying to be a nice guy and help me out at the homestead, and we're just buggering off for days on end, visiting dead people. Lovely. Yeah, not a big trophy hunter, but the trophies that we've gotten for doing some of this extra stuff, for going above and beyond, that alone has been really cool. I guess that's all I got for you. Part 81 will return to kind of our regular format. We're shifting our focus back to main story, and that's basically it. You can expect, I don't really expect to go too far past maybe part 85, so we're definitely getting down to the nitty-gritty. We will see you on the other side.